Have you ever heard of intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is something that has been around for ages, ancient time even, and it was used for religious purposes, cultural purposes, and also medical. Okay. I was introduced to intermittent fasting via someone I had met. Therefore, I had only heard of intermittent fasting when you heard of Ramadan or something religious. I never heard of it as a way to control your eating for health purposes. And then you had when you hear people eat the one time per day with the survival strategy and famine, they would eat when they could or when they had the resources to eat. That is part of fasting, right? So intermittent fasting gained popularity, or remodernization of intermittent fasting was done by Dr. Jason Fung. And Dr. Jason Fung is the one who kind of brought it back to life, kind of reintroduced it to us. And his thought process, as far as like the different research that I've done on the topic, was that it was helpful with diabetics and reversing diabetes. So it also helps with brain clarity, inflammation, weight loss, and autophagy. So those were things that he found that, we can use today. When I looked into it, I saw that it could also help with me having hypertension. Okay. My long-standing goal has always been to get rid of my little white pill that I take that I can't seem to take consistently to save my life. Going back to Dr. Fong, you also had and he's a nephrologist, you also had a doctor named Dr. Jamnadas, Jamnadas, or Dr. J. And both of those doctors, you can find things on YouTube he does seminars. It's very interesting. Like I found myself watching a good many videos. And so these are doctors that they actually practice the intermittent fasting themselves. So Dr. Fung, you will find a lot of things that he relates everything to diabetes. And Dr. Jamnadas is one who kind of just gives you the overall benefits of why it's good to intermittent fast. And so if you listen to them, they can kind of break it down to you better, but I'm just kind of giving you, I had never heard of intermittent fasting in the way of a lifestyle. Okay. So you have intermittent fasting and you have different schedules that you can follow. So the schedules that you have are 16 and 8, you have 5 and 2, you have 23 and 1, you have 20 and 4. So 16 and 8 is 16 hours fasting, an 8-hour period where you're eating. Okay. 5 and 2 is 5 days that you're eating moderately, and then 2 days, no eating at all. You have the 20 and 4, that means you have a 20-hour time that you're fasting, means that you're not eating any food, and then you have a 4-hour window. And then you have 23, you got it, 23 hours you're not eating, and then you have 1 hour that you eat your meal. Okay. So I myself have done I've done the 16 and 8, and I've done the 23 and 1. So if you ever hear 23 and 1, 23 and 1, 1 meal a day, OMAD, that's what that stands for, 1 meal. So you have your fasting time, and then you have your non-fasting time. And your fasting time is when there's nothing consumed that's going to give you calories that your body starts breaking down and your insulin spikes, right? So that's your fasting time. And then your eating window, depending on which one you feel is going to work better for your lifestyle, that's when you were to eat. And you want to focus on a higher protein meal prepping. Meal prepping kind of helps keep you in line, but meal prep for the time period that you are going to eat, let's just go with 16 and 1, and whatever hours that you choose works with your lifestyle. But let's say, you know, I'm starting my window at 11 a.m. and I'm going to end it at 7 p.m. There is even a thing, and I'm not going to go into all that, but how you want to even break your fast. I mean, it can get really deep. But I think for me, the most important part was that I make sure I eat within those windows. Okay. And so let's say if I started at 11 o'clock, I'm going to eat my meal. I may have a snack in between, and then I'm going to eat my last meal, let's say 6 o'clock, and be finished at 7 o'clock. And then I'm done for the day until 11 o'clock again the next day. So that's that is hard. So it's doable, but I've not gotten to the point where I'm just like not hungry during that time. They say that after some time your body gets used to it and you're not hungry, but I've not experienced that. Maybe because I'm greedy, I have not experienced that yet. So right now, what I'm trying to do is not trying. What I'm doing is 8 to 4, 8 a.m. to 4, and I figure it the reason why I've chosen 8 to 4 is because more than likely I'm up and moving during those times, and I can eat and burn what I have eaten, whether that be me working out, me being at work, I'm burning. Versus me eating to 7 o'clock, and then within a couple hours I'm laying down on the food that I ate. So I'm just have just recently come to this realization. Let me just try the 8 to 4. So for the most part, I'm fine with the 4 o'clock. It doesn't bother me too much. It's when I wake up in the morning time. I'm not used to waking up in the morning time and I'm hungry. So me getting to work, I have to wait to eat. I can't put anything in my mouth. That is just I've done it before, but I've not experienced waking up in the morning time hungry. So that's the only difference that I know, like, okay, this is working. So I've lost a couple pounds because I have started this. And so on average, they say what, 2 pounds per week is what's safe. So I'm within that range. I've been doing it for, I would say this is probably my second week, and I'm not eating perfect with it, but I am staying within my window. I haven't been eating late. So I will say that I'm doing good with that. When you are eating during your window, like I said, you want to have the black coffee. There's no cream, sugar. There's nothing that you should be putting in your black coffee or drinking your tea. Nothing. People cheat, but you know, the true intermittent fasting is just that: black coffee, unsweetened tea, and water. Okay. So if you think about intermittent fasting and why it can be a lifestyle, is because when most of us, I mean, of my age, when we were younger, we were eating maybe 2 meals. You might do 3 meals in a stack. It just depends on your family and how they go about things. So you figure if you're going to school, you may have your breakfast at school, you may have your lunch, and then you get home, you have dinner. You're off of school, you might get breakfast. It just depends on what your makeup of your family. If you may have cereal, then you might have lunch, may not, depend on if you're outside playing. So it's just all the different dynamics. But definitely you weren't eating all day and you weren't having fast food, and you have all these bad habits that we have developed that wasn't so much a thing when we were younger. So if you think of it that way, we were doing intermittent fasting at one point in our life, and now it's just out of order. So I guess if I think of it that way, I just want to get back to better eating habits. And there was no fast food. Fast food, I don't think I just don't remember going to get McDonald's when I was younger. That was not a thing, nor did my mother have money for it. With all the sodium and the sugar that's in everything, I don't see how any doctor could say it's not, a right step in the right direction. Something that you can sustain long term if you choose, versus if you're going to do a diet like keto, or I can't, you have so many different diets, but let's just speak of keto. Keto, I don't think that's something that you can sustain for years and years and years, right? I know people do it for quick weight loss, but I don't know if that's something that you can do long term. Whereas I think like intermittent fasting, you can do it long term, and it's not to say that you can't have something sweet within your window. It's just moderation, right? You're busy at work, you don't even have time to eat. That's intermittent fasting. There's no difference. Okay, it's you didn't eat because you were so occupied, and then when you get off, you eat, and then you're done. That's intermittent fasting. I've noticed when I've done it before that my hypertension was better. Okay. Never did I have numbers like 200 over 110, but when I notice I'm not putting all that, um, the sodium and the sugar in my body, I notice blood pressure is lower. Inflammation, me being on my feet all day, the inflammation in my legs is lessened. My risk of diabetes, if I don't get the sugar together, has lessened. The clarity that I have in my brain, the brain fog, is better. Although I'm going through perimenopause because of my age, I'm gonna have maybe some clarity issues. I feel like it's just better. I've noticed that. And also intermittent fasting, because you have autophagy. Autophagy, I don't think I explained what autophagy is. It's recycling of the cells, is basically your body is given a chance to regenerate the cells. Okay. And so when you're eating all day and you're eating, it doesn't get a chance to renew itself. So that's another reason why intermittent fasting is good. So, and that helps with any diseases, including the big C. Okay. You have to look it up and do some research, but for yourself. But for me, I don't see it being anything negative if it's things that will help me in the long run. I just don't. Okay. And if you have diabetes, I mean, it's a good chance that you can reverse the diabetes. You'll always be a diabetic, but you have it controlled on your own through diet restriction versus medication. So that's something that you should look into and see if that will help you. Your doctor may or may not agree, but that's something that, you can talk to them about and do your research and advocate for yourself. So until next time, take care of yourself and see you soon.